Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Veronica, 3 fight win streak, The first thing I want to get into about this 3 fight win streak is being in the spotlight, what I mean, compared to like let's say your first run, so to say, in the UFC between like 2016 and 2020 compared to now. How has it changed the landscape?
Um, I feel like I've really come to my own now. Like before, it was I didn't truly understand what I was doing. I didn't understand how to put a training camp together. Honestly, some of the stuff I did, I look back at it now and I'm like, dude, that like all of that was not okay. Like, how did you expect to be successful? And the thing is, it wasn't from lack of trying, it wasn't from lack of effort. Like I would give everything that I had, but I would just keep going in the wrong direction. And I feel that I needed to take time off in order to understand and fix all these holes, and as I continue to do, and as I will always have, because it's like, it's not only you, for even as perfect as you are going against somebody else who is also trained and trying to get you out, and get these mistakes out of you in order for them to be able to exploit them. um so I feel like now I am more myself. I understand who I am more, and I have kind of changed as a person. Not changed, but have become who I am, instead of like trying to be anything
Mhm.
else, or not being sure. I feel you have to go through life, and you have to go through experiences, and try things and test things out in order to see what you actually like, because if not, how you're just told.
Mhm.
So I just feel like it's kind of coincided, the win streak, with me being more myself.
And also, like, media is different now, and like you have, obviously you have Dan Hardy as well, and all these like avenues and places, that you can go to, and resources that you didn't have in your first run. And the attention you're getting is does it seem like it's more attention now?
What do you mean by attention? Do you mean it in training, or do you mean it in
And just like in
fights?
fights and like in media and everything, because that does affect fighters.
Yes, yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's obviously going to be a lot more attention, being married to Dan, and as well winning. Like, people don't pay attention to you if you lose. It's just like, well, you suck, get out. And like, that's changed, of course, but it's helped me. Like I said, it's just been it's taken a good amount of time to help me really be grounded and evolve as a person and as a fighter, and the people that I have around, the attention that I get in training, is something that helps me tremendously. I mean, I have people who I wholeheartedly admire, who dedicate so much of their time to help me out, who are innovative people that have help me live a life that is better outside of the gym as well. And I feel that is important when you're going in there. So overall, I just think it's been a good thing.
Yeah, because like I want to, like you see people that like say you were born in poverty and you build yourself up to be, an elite in whatever you're doing. Those people, they can always go back to that, and they understand what it feels like to have nothing. And there's people that are just like tossed into the spotlight from the beginning, and then once they start struggling, they never can get it back on track. Do you understand that aspect of it a little bit better?
I think what helps with poverty or struggle in the beginning, they say this often, that you have to come from like this super poverty in order to be a good fighter. And first, I don't agree with that. I don't think you have to necessarily. I understand what they're trying to get to, but I just feel like when you go through some certain type of struggle, what you realize is that even if things go bad, you can be proud of how far you've come already. And you can take strength from that in order to continue. And also, where normally, if somebody wouldn't have struggled to get to that situation, that they would take things for granted, you realize how much you'd have to like climb, and go tooth and nail in order to get to where you are. So I think that gives you a maturity when approaching things. And that's where I find it to be very helpful.
309, New York City, Madison Square Garden. It's a great opportunity. It's a massive card, a lot of eyes on this one, which allows you to, put a more of a spotlight on your fight as well. Eduarda Moura, thoughts on her and the fighting style that she possesses?
Yeah, man, I think like all my opponents, she's tough. She's tough and she's aggressive and she's gonna want to like do, she's gonna want to be in the same position. She's gonna want to go and shine, and I'm sure that's gonna show in the night. And I'm sure she's training extremely hard as all the athletes are in order to compete in this card because it's such an honor to be able to compete in New York, just in New York in general, in MSG, in a card that's headlined by somebody who's helped pave the sport. And I feel like there's just massive respect for that, as well as you have Charles Oliveira, and he's always fun to be on the same card with. So there's just so much positivity going into the fight already with that. Then and I think that she's going to be better than she's ever been, because now she's going up in a weight class. And I'm glad for her own health that they didn't seem to be like she was guided correctly in order to make straw weight, because just health wise it didn't seem like, well she couldn't make it for a start, which is already a bad indicator, and then you can't make it again is it's a lot of red flags. And I know that she had to suffer quite a bit to get there. Like it wasn't like she just, oh, I didn't make weight, whatever. I think she did try her absolute hardest. She just isn't that weight. Mm, and now she's going to come a lot stronger, a lot healthier, probably with a way better better camp, because she didn't have to worry about so much of this cut. So I expect the absolute best version of her.
Do you think a lot of women that are fighting at 115 are the same size as a lot of women fighting at 125?
No.
Okay,
No,
there's a
I've
big
like
difference.
I've trained with 115ers, and I can tell that they're
Mhm.
115, and I'm not a big 125er. But you can definitely tell like the density, even when you like walk in with them. You could tell that there is a difference. I know there are some girls that will cut massive amounts of weight, and it won't be so much the case, but in general I do feel like there is a difference.
You yourself, you look sometimes you look a lot smaller than your opponents inside the cage. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay.
You
Every
don't have to
time. Every time. Okay,
lie.
every time. So are you focused? Is that part of the schedule for you? Like, since returning is like building your body bigger and stronger for the division? Is that a continuing journey?
Yes, well, I've been working with Paul Reed consistently, and that's helped me tremendous. I mean, now for this camp, I'm having way more calories. My meals, bigger meals, more nutrition, that able to fuel me for the sessions, and I'm able to be cognitively there, where I can improve, not only physically, not get injured, because that's one of the big things that I think these giant weight cuts. It's not only the weight cut the day before, and then you go in and you fight, and that repercussion. It's also the entirety of the camp, where you're low in calorie, where you're weak, where you might get injured in something or another, because you don't have enough calories in your system to be doing such an intense sport. Um, so that having that consistency, and having somebody oversee that, as well as my S&C that links into my actual training, has been that I can't even tell you how it's been incredible. It's been wow.
Yeah, when you start to feel something working that you've been kind of building up, because sometimes it doesn't initially happen. So it's like a long delayed gratification. I guess that's what it's called. You feel like really, like, I don't know. There's like a new version of you, right? That you feel.
Yeah, like sometimes you know I'll be grappling, or I'll be
Mhm.
doing something, and I'll be like, whoa, I feel really strong there. And I know it's quite deceiving, because I'm small, but I'm quite compact.
Mhm.
And you know, unfortunately, compact doesn't weigh light.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah.
Training camp in NYC. The city's phenomenal, but there's so many great places to train there. I know you're focused in Renzo Gracie. Are there other spots that you've been working at?
I know I predominantly stay here. I go over to Culture sometimes. That's in Hoboken, but just because Shorty, Sean Santella trains there, and he's in my corner, and he is such a great coach. My goodness. I don't like I don't think he understands how good of a coach he is. And that's like that that like annoys me. I'm like, man, he doesn't overcomplicate anything. He can really give you the perfect information to where you can digest it and you can apply it right away. And he's not a big guy. He's really like I'm bigger than him, so it's not like he's gonna do big man jujitsu and he'd be like, yeah, he just pin somebody and then, bam bam and they're done. Which sometimes I'm like, okay, so what if so what if I don't have an extra 11, 20 kilos of weight to do that? Like how do I move and how do I manage this? And he's troubleshooted so much of that, that it's been great to have found him and to have him in my corner.
Yeah, he's fought so many times as well, high level champion. Yeah, I remember interviewing him like years ago, and he's a guy that I look at, that's turning into a great coach. And when you think about MMA, how many MMA coaches do you think existed in the year 2005? Do you?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like it seemed so much like shooting in the dark. And it's a bit crazy is I feel like I'm kind of like I kind of grew up in between both generations, but I got more the other one, the one that didn't have that MMA coach that helped guide him through, somebody who's already been there and had troubleshooted things. I was more like just trying to find things out, kind of in the past. Nowadays you can go to an MMA gym and there's a lot of things that they'll teach you right away that'll simplify your life, and not make it seem so overwhelming. So I have such massive respect for people who have succeeded even though they didn't have the training that I nowadays have access to.
and I gotta ask you about grappling with Tom Hardy at Renzo Gracie's. Like, how was that?
I didn't actually grapple
Oh,
with
you
him.
didn't. Okay, okay.
No, he was grappling, but no, I didn't actually grapple with him. I just got a photo. But
Okay.
he was really cool. I was like, dude, I'm gonna say I'm your cousin, okay? And he was like, "I married a British guy, has the same last name," and he was all right with it. He was like, "Yeah, it's pretty badass." So yeah, it was pretty awesome to me. Such a down to earth guy that he was there. He was paying attention so much to the details. He didn't want any special treatment. He didn't want anything else. He was just interested and passionate about the art of jujitsu. And how can you not have respect for somebody who has done so great in his own craft, and then to come to a completely different one and not have any sort of ego or anything. And let's be honest, when you are Tom Hardy, or when you are anybody that is like even not even as close to be that famous, like anybody that rolls with you is going to be there, like be nervous and want to prove themselves out of excitement or out of anything. So you don't get the same type of training as somebody else who wouldn't have that sort of attention. He walks in a room and everybody's like, oh shit, like he's not blind. It's not like he can't see that. And as much as people try to calm down, he still has to go through that. And he could just do privates all day, but he doesn't. He comes into the training and sees the value in connecting with people as well as the art itself. So that was something that was awesome. It was awesome to see.
For sure, for sure. And back to your fight, what are the expectations out of this one? 3 in a row, you win this one 4 in a row. That just locks you into like getting, at least like a big name veteran or somebody in the top 15. So there's a little pressure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, they give you who they give you. I don't think that ever really makes
Mm,
sense. You don't get to choose that much. So, and I find sometimes it has to do a little bit more with your performance than with your win streak. There's been a lot of things that I've had to fix in my previous performances. They've been wins, but they've been things that have showcased like holes and errors that I've had to address, which I'm grateful that I've been able to do that and come off a win. And I'm just hoping that this is the same because MMA is more of a marathon than it is a sprint, and I would rather be a great martial artist than sprint to any sort of ranking.
Nice. And this November, I think your event will be the second one with the new rule changes in effect, right? The 12 to 6 elbows and the definition of a grounded opponent has changed now. What do you think? How do you think
Mhm.
this is going to impact fights?
Um, well, I think it's just gonna like not confuse people that much, but I don't know how much this will go into play because sometimes, well, like before with the down opponent, with like the finger and the not the finger and all this, like it would change with state to state. Like even now, you have it's not USADA now, it's like drug free sport or whatever. They have their rules, but then you can go to an athletic commission and they say that's the rules for the UFC, but for here, these are our testing rules. So I don't know if that will play into effect in any of the upcoming fights as well, just because you have that sort of issue. And I know New York's quite, they're quite like strict with things. But overall, I just think it'll eliminate the confusion, eliminate a little bit the stalling, and just make things a lot more fun, especially up against the cage where that's where people usually play that because you can lean on something and then, like in training, I've been like, oh, I can get kneed here. Where before I just put my hand down and I'm fine. So it's just about bringing more awareness to the spot.
Yeah, and less referee interference. I think that's what the fighters really want at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, gloves are like 2 ounces less. Now you can knee them in the ground. I mean, let's just go back to UFC one.
Yeah.
Might as well,
Valley
right?
Tudo, right? Valley Tudo rules.
Less rules every time.
Yeah. What do you think of the new gloves? A lot of people that I talk to do not like the new gloves.
Yeah, they're a bit different. I've actually been like training with them and stuff. The biggest issue that I find is that it wasn't designed by MMA people. It was designed by American footballers who had a nice lab. And I just feel like just get a group of fighters and be like, try this on, punch something, tell me how you feel. Okay, we'll adjust. Sometimes people go so scientific that you get away from the fact that a human is using this. And it's about how they feel doing it. Well, I feel the same with boxing gloves. Like, you're like that, you know? Is and then sometimes people on their Tapology fixtures, they're like this, and you're like, what are you doing? But the glove is like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think just need to get fighters and like cut man involved because obviously you can put on a glove and you can try it out and it's yeah great cool. But fight night you have wraps on and you have all these other things. So how is that going to feel? So I feel like if we would get together fighters and cut men, we can kind of solve the issue that is because I don't think yeah it's different, but it's kind of like the problem shifted from this to this, but
Yeah.
it's still problems.
Yeah.
We
I
don't have any
agree.
less. We just have different problems.
Yeah, yeah, that's what people are saying is and also like I don't understand why the gloves are not broken in before they hand them. Like pre-washed jeans.
Yeah,
Like pre-washed jeans, like you get it pre-washed, you don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, why are the gloves so stiff? That's another aspect of gloves that fighters always complain about. It's like the gloves is just so stiff, man. Like I can't move my hands, especially for grapplers, right? Like you got to be able to grip and
yeah.
close your hands. So it's yeah, I think if you complain enough, or you guys complain enough, maybe something will change.
Nah, they don't care.
Yeah, they it's true.
They would have asked us in the first place if they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, true, true, true. Yeah. Yeah, it's very weird. One last thing I would like to ask you about the division, the flyweight division. You have Shevchenko, who's the first person to get all the rupees on her belt, which is phenomenal, and then you got Grasso. and they're like 1-1 in a tie. Do you like a fourth fight between them?
I just wouldn't like it to be for the belt again. I feel like it's really holding up the division when you have so many great, females coming through. It's not like, if we look back maybe 5 years ago, where the division wasn't really built in. It was based off, like fighters that come from tough, and there wasn't a solid group of girls that could really challenge. But now you have, like Manon Fiorot. You got to give her a shot, man, before you give Alexa Grasso another one. And then you have like Natalia Silva going up, Corrine Silva, that's also in the card, that she's like really good. So you have, it's not like the division's cleared out for them to fight once again. But I feel like it's kind of time to move on from that. And if that fight comes up again, then great, but not in the cost of the division, because there's a belt on the line. If there wasn't a belt on the line, they could fight 800 times if they want to. But anytime that happens, it really holds up a division.
True, true. Exactly. Yeah, you just don't want to hold up a division when you got like people waiting for that spot, that opportunity. Your opportunity November 16th, UFC 309, Madison Square Garden, New York City. You're already there, so not much movement for you. Thank you, Veronica, always. It's always good catching up with you, and yeah, all the best in this fight, and hopefully we see you much sooner than later.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.